Hi guys, so it's me Nicolette and welcome to money lessons that your parents never taught you about. The first one that we're going to be dealing with is your net worth is everything. Now, the one thing that we never really look at, especially as African people, is the fact that you all have a net worth. Every single person that is financially active has a net worth. And what do we mean about net worth? Basically, your net worth is your assets minus your liabilities. So if you are sitting in the bank and you've got 10,000 rand in your bank, but you've got a car loan of 50,000 rand, you've got a home loan of 100,000 rand, it basically means that your net worth is sitting in the minus, because if you take the assets that you've got, and if your only assets in life is the money that's in your bank account, it means that basically you're sitting on a negative net worth. Now, why is your net worth so important? Your net worth is important because it will indicate to you financially where you are in life, and it will show you whether or not you are on the right path of building wealth or not. Because the reality of life is that sometimes we look at people who seem to have money and we think that they are wealthy people, but the reality is that some people are not wealthy, they just manage to have access to be able to buy certain things. And that is one of the most important things. We've spoken before about the fact that income does not equal wealth, and that is very important that people understand. But the other thing I want people to understand is that lifestyle also does not equal wealth. And we see this with how people end up retiring in their futures, is that they end up retiring very uncomfortably, because throughout the years they've collected all these material things that when we were watching them from the past and when we were growing up, we thought, geez, these people have so much wealth. But ultimately what they did have is access to credit. So it's very important that as a person you understand what is your net worth today. So I want to appeal to you today to do a quick exercise. Go sit down, put together a column, a list of things on one side and say, these are my assets, and write down what your assets are. These assets are items that generate some sort of income for you. Now, we're not going to argue about whether or not your house is an asset, because if it is on bond, the amount that you owe is still a liability. So therefore, your house, depending on its value, so you can subtract the value of what your house is minus how much you owe on it, and be able to see what the actual liability or asset is on that one. And you will be able to get what the asset, whether it's an asset or a liability to you currently. Also encompassing all the payments that you make on your house every single month. That is also very important. I'll give you an example of why I say this. For instance, you've bought a house that is worth 1 million rand, but when you went to the bank, you had a deposit, you had a deposit, and you had a really great credit life, and the bank, and you only needed maybe 300,000 rand to borrow from the bank for you to be able to boost whatever money you had to buy your house. Now your house is valued, let's say, at 1 million rand. You only owe the bank 300,000 rand. That means that house, at some level of it, is going to be a future asset, because when you sell it, you will potentially be able to make a profit, minus again capital gains tax. So it's very important that you also minus the tax. But that makes it a little bit more confusing. Let's not think about it that way. Think about it for this purpose of this exercise as an asset, but also remember that whatever you owe at the bank must be put down as a liability. So put the value of the house as the asset and the money that you owe on the house as the liability, and just calculate quickly how much is your net worth, and ask yourself, now that I know what my net worth is, what then is my wealth creation strategy? How do I take my surplus money and buy money generating assets? Because that is how you build wealth.